Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So let's jump into creating a React app with Webpack. Usually when you create a React app, you use the create React app functionality or the CLI command provided by Facebook, which is pretty much most people do. It comes with a bunch of predefined settings. There's a lot of secondary dependency packages that get installed as a part of you running that command. When you're developing a project for a company, or even if it's in a small scale, you want to keep the amount of dependencies on your project to the lowest because some dependencies can slow down your project. You don't know who created what npm packages or what's inside that npm package. And preact is something which we're going to use in this tutorial to create the React app with the Webpack. So Preact is kind of a React modern API which is less in size. It has all the same commands as it is in React, and it's less in size. That's the main advantage of using Preact compared to React. But there won't be any other changes. Pretty much, we'll be creating a um, mapping between React and Preact, saying that any commands taken from React will be sent to Preact so that you can still do import, use state, use effect, or those are hooks in React from Preact, which will automatically send it, or from React, which will automatically send it to Preact. So to get started, we'll start with creating just a package.json file. We'll just do npm init -y. I'll just set up all the package.json file here with all the stuff which we need. The name of the project is Webpack setup for now, main index, all the stuff. Now we just need to install all the packages that we need. So we'll just start from Webpack. There's a bunch of Webpack things which you need to install. One is Webpack, the other one is Webpack CLI for the CLI commands, and the Webpack dev server in case if you want to run a dev server. So that the main use of the dev server is that, for example, if you're creating a React project with Python, you'll have something running on the back end, you'll have something running on the front end. So you'll start the dev server, which will start a front end server running, and you'll have the Python code running in the back end server. So you have two things running, but it's easy to debug things like that. You can have real-time changes take effect on the browser right away. So there's a bunch of advantages for using Webpack dev server. So we'll be installing. I guess I cannot copy today. Let me see. Yeah, we'll be just installing all these packages down here. Let's just give it a second. We have the Webpack CLI, and Webpack Dev Server. The other things which we need are a few of Babel. So you don't know what if you don't know what Babel is a transpiler, which transpiles JSX code into pure JavaScript. So most of you probably know React code is written in React JavaScript, which is called JSX, which most browsers doesn't understand because there's Internet Explorer, there's old versions of Chrome, there's old versions of Firefox, which doesn't understand React JSX. So Babel literally is a transpiler which converts all this JSX into pure JavaScript, which can be understood by any browser because pure JavaScript is what makes the browser, and then there's HTML code. So we're just going to install a bunch of Babel packages which we require. So as you can see, all the packages which we install here is a dev dependency. So if you look at here, this is called a dev dependency, which means that if you want to send this project to someone else, or if you're deploying it, this package or this project doesn't actually require any of these because it's not direct dependencies for this project. It's just dev dependency, which means when you're in development, while you're developing the project, you need these packages. You need the Webpack to build the project, you need Babel to transpile your JavaScript, React JavaScript code into JavaScript code. Um, so those are some packages which we need for now. So we're going to jump in and install a few more packages down here. Uh, Nothing major. I can go over them later. But for now, we need some CSS loader. So some of these are the predefined packages that come with CRA when I talked about before. But there's a lot behind the scenes. Not only these packages, there's other stuff that get installed, but we don't need all that stuff. This is pretty much for CSS loading, things like that. What else do we need? I think that's all we need. We need to install Preact. So we're gonna install Preact right here. So Preact will be a direct dependency on the project because you need Preact for the whole thing to work. Preact pretty much behind the scenes means React. So we need that. Once that is set up, we should be able to alias all our React stuff into Preact. So we have Preact installed now. So to link a React asset, like if you go to index.js, this is something which I just created right now, and then we have something like this. So we say import React from React. Since we don't have actual React installed, we are using something called Preact. We have to link calling React to go to Preact. So all those things are done in Webpack config.js file. So let's get started on the Webpack config.js file for now. So these are just some um, inbuilt functions which you're using. HTML Webpack plugin is a package which we have installed. This pretty much allows you to um, reduce the size of the HTML file which gets created when you're in production mode. So this gets used at the end of this file here. So I'll go through each of these commands in the config file. So the entry file or the entry attribute is where we actually start the React project from. So we have index.js file and we're saying, okay, this is where the app is starting from. And it starts from here. Output is basically only when you're in production mode, when you want to, build the project and then get the pure JavaScript file, you want to send it to the JavaScript folder. So you do JavaScript JS folder, and then it'll be sent into this file. Chunk file name is another property given by Webpack where you can split your files into different chunks, which in turn is also a good practice in case if you have so many JavaScript files which you want to split into small pieces. So when you're in production mode, your browser will be faster, or your website would be faster when compared to a single JavaScript file getting loaded. And this is where, which I said, where we're going to link React to Preact compat. So you can see we're saying that, okay, anything that says React, we will be sending it to Preact. Anything that says React DOM, we'll be sending it to Preact too. This is where this gets assigned, so that now if in index.js, if we say import React from React, this will pretty much go into preact.compat. The other settings in module is pretty much just rules. So any file that ends with .js, in our case index.js, they're going to use the Babel loader. So like I said before, Babel is a transpiler to convert this kind of code here. This is React JavaScript code, which is not understood by modern browsers. This will get converted into pure JavaScript. So this will do that. The CSS is to convert the CSS into using style loader and CSS loader. It just makes a CSS file for you which can be used in the production mode. The same thing applies for CSS where you can make it into a chunk file name using different properties, different packages which you can install later. But for this tutorial, I'm just going to use style loader and CSS loader. And this is where we use the HTML Webpack plugin. Here we say that this is the index.html. So this is like a body or like a skeleton which we provide to the Webpack file, and then we say inject the content into the body of this file. So inside the body of this file, the content of whatever the JavaScript or the React code which you have written will get injected here. In our JavaScript file, we have said render this component, so this function here inside root. So um, this function here, which pretty much returns a h1 tag with hello code with me, will be shown inside index.html inside this div here. Um, that's pretty much it for the Webpack config file. There are other settings which you can put in here. For example, if you're not using a CSS file, if you're using a .less file, if you guys are interested, you can look into what .less is. It's another format of kind of CSS thing, but there's extra functionalities which it provides where you can have a variable in there, do different math functions and all that stuff. But for this tutorial, we're just going to stick with .css. If you would like to deal with other files, for example, SVG file, PNG files, for all those things, you'll have to define a rule here, or else when Webpack tries to load it from here. So for example, if I say import something uh, .svg, it's going to say, well, I don't know how to read an SVG file, right? So you need to have some kind of transpiler or compiler letting the Webpack know that an SVG file should be read as something like this, or a different package or a module should be used to convert that SVG into something which can be used in the browser. So all those information are available on the Webpack documentation. They let you know what needs to be used for a SVG file, a PNG file, if there's fonts which you download from Google, if there's like different pictures, things like that. Those settings are all available on the Webpack documentation. Moving on, there's the Babel config.js file which I created. This is the config file which will be used when you try to convert or transpile your React JavaScript code into pure JavaScript. So um, this has some settings defined on it. So target specifically says that, okay, when you convert the React JavaScript code into pure JavaScript code, it should support browsers of Chrome with version 58 and above. So here you can also specify other browsers, Firefox, IE, Internet Explorer, but Internet Explorer is dead right now. Microsoft stopped the updates and everything for it, so I think all the companies are stopping making web applications based on Internet Explorer because it's a really old browser, no one wants to use it. There's Babel React. This is also some of the settings which we apply when you transpile your code into pure JavaScript. And this is your JavaScript, like the index.js file where we start from. Like I said, this is the entry point, so this is where it starts from. I just have an h1 tag. You can put in random stuff in here. We can put in p, hello, second, fine, things like that. And this will get rendered inside the div with the ID root. So inside package.json, we have two commands which I added. That is start command and the build command. The start command has the dash dash open attribute, which will open up your um, browser with the local host and everything opened up, and then it'll have this index.js loaded right there. Um, the other one is hot mode development, which means that whenever you make a change in here in the index.js, the browser will automatically reload and you can see the change right away. And then we have the build one, which will create the actual JavaScript file for the production mode, which you will use in production. This is used in development mode. This is used in production mode. So just to show you, let's do npm run start, and oops, we got an error right here. What did I do? Found an error. Oh yeah. Well, there you go. The file wasn't there. So as soon as I saved, it automatically reloaded and it transpiled it again. And then if I go back to the browser here, So this is the browser. We have it automatically gets put into 8080 port. Um, we can change that settings by specifying the dev server attribute in the webpack config.js file right here. So in here you can do dev server, and then you can put all the settings. All those stuff is available on Webpack documentation. I'm not going to go too much into it, but that's pretty much just an example on how to create a React project with a Webpack. Um, Comment down below the video and let me know what you guys think about this. I'll be creating more videos going in depth with creating React projects on how to use different hooks on React. For example, like if we can have import use state, use effect, um, use callback hook, things like that, how to make use of these different hooks that come from React. They have different features which you can make use of when you're making a um, big scale project, like not a small project, but like a big project. And then each of these hook has its own functionalities, and some of them making use of use state every now and then, use effect every now and then could slow down your application. Um, so use callback kind of provides you benefits to those disadvantages, things like that. So I'll be going more deep into all these different hooks in a different video. Before I end this video, I also forgot to show you the build command right here. So the build will put all the output files to the output which we have specified here. So we did something like this. So now since if we run npm run build, it's going to do the webpack magic, and then now you have a folder here called distribution, like with the one which I have named, and then I said, okay, put all the JavaScript file inside JS and then name it code with me JS. So if we go into JavaScript file, we have code with me JS. This is pure JavaScript. Webpack does it. There's no point in reading through it. It's just going to be a bunch of JavaScript, which is like all the React code just gets converted into pure JavaScript. And this is the index.html file, and this is where the code gets injected. So here we have code with me react.js as a script attached to the HTML file. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So stay tuned for the next videos. Let me know if you have any questions. Comment down below on the video, and we'll see you on the next one.